Doing? Good. So, as mentioned, I'm the head of our creator and artist development team here in APAC, and what my team is responsible for is really supercharging our creators who are above 100,000 subscribers. So I'm really thrilled to be back here in Manila. I was here just 2 short months ago for FanFest, if anyone had the opportunity to attend. It was a phenomenal turnout and really exemplified a lot of the growth that we're seeing in the platform here. So I want to spend a little bit of time today talking about a broad overview of the Philippines and YouTube, and then a lot more time talking about NextUp. So I remember joining this team about 5 years ago, and Vishal and I used to talk about this, and we wondered when the Philippines was going to start to accelerate their growth. So 5 years ago, it was India that started to really turbocharge their creators and their viewers on the ecosystem. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was Indonesia. And I'm proud to say that today, it's the Philippines that's really starting to grow. Globally, the Philippines is now one of our fastest growing markets, which is an incredible attribution to all the excitement and passion a lot of the creators here and the viewers here have. So to exemplify a lot of this really astounding growth, over the last 3 years, we've seen 20x growth from our silver and gold creators. Our silver creators are creators with 100,000 subs and up, and those gold creators are creators with 1 million subscribers and up. We've also seen a tremendous amount of growth for attendance at our FanFest events. So when I was here just a few months ago, if I look back in 2016, we had a little bit under 3,000 attendees. This year we had over 12,000 attendees attend FanFest. And this was in the rain, so it was really interesting to see such passionate and excited fans come out for this. So I want to tell you that we as YouTube are incredibly invested in the market here. It's why Vishal and I came out, it's why I've been here twice in the past few months, and it's why we continue to run NextUp. So I wanted to give you a little bit of a background about what NextUp is. NextUp is a program that we put on that's a week-long event for 12 finalists out of all of the creators who apply between 10,000 and 100,000 subs in the Philippines. It's 5 days of a camp. It helps them really turbocharge their knowledge and their creativity. We help them with mentorships. We give them production training, we provide studios for them to create content. So it's a really exciting week to really get that next generation of creators turbocharged here in the ecosystem. So a little bit of a deep dive on what NextUp is and how hard it is to get into. We've seen growth over the last 3 years where we struggled to get enough creators to apply for NextUp. We've seen 161% growth year over year for the past 3 years. And I wanted to put it a little bit into perspective that getting into NextUp is harder than getting into Harvard. So for all those NextUp finalists that you meet, they did a tremendous amount of work to get in. So over the past few years, I wanted to walk you through a couple of stories of some of our creators who have gone through the NextUp program. So some of these folks you will get to meet today. There's Ben Kua, who was just sitting in the seat of these NextUp creators last year in 2018. So he was under 100,000 subs at that time. He's now almost 780,000 subscribers in 1 year. So incredibly impressive. So he's what he would term a responsible millennial. And he likes to support and show high quality content that's really valuable for our platform. Next, I think it doesn't need much introduction. I'm still smiling at Renee's rendition. It was a beautiful song, so thank you. But Renee has been with us every step of the way. So she started at a music jam night back in 2017. And then she entered our NextUp contest in 2017. And then she worked with our strategic partner managers through our program, which helps them accelerate content strategy, diversifying their revenue, working with brands. It tries to give them all the tools to help really excel with their channels. Next, we have Team Leica. So Leica is another positive influence on our community. She is a teacher here, and she helps students of all ages with entrance exams or even working on word problems or math or even chemistry. So thank you. Thank you for attending today. And then finally we have Hype Streetball, which from the name you can probably guess. They're a collaborative group of basketballers, of streetballers here. And they built a really, really strong and passionate community of basketball players here. And so they were a headliner for FanFest just a few months ago, as well as Renee. And they've just launched their new merchandise brand. And so we're seeing a lot of creators that have gone through our NextUp program really start to accelerate and really start to grow. And one thing that I really like about NextUp this year, and while we've tried to do this in the past, I think this year we were really allowed to select an incredibly diverse group of creators from all walks of life. We have sailors here with us, we have farmers, we have musicians, we have artists. We have an incredible amount of talent pool this year from our NextUp contestants. And I wanted to share a little bit about the diversity that we've had just on the platform in years past. So we have folks from all over the Philippines, and it's important now to also say you don't have to speak English to be successful on YouTube anymore. So we have a lot of really interesting creators who don't speak English. We have the #1 do-it-yourself tech blogger from the north, which is Brains Technology. We also have a beauty creator, Amy Talbach from the south, who also went through our NextUp program just last year. So to give you a little bit more detail about what NextUp is, as I mentioned before, it's 5 days of a really intensive camp for our creators to get to know each other, to work with really cool mentors. They also get a production voucher of 105,000 Filipino pesos, and this helps them really upskill their production equipment so they can get new cameras to help them shoot more high-quality videos for the platform. And then finally, they get assigned a partner manager from YouTube who's going to work with them through the next months to help them with their production strategy, their content strategy. It'll help connect them to brands and help really grow their channels from there on out. As I mentioned, they're going to get to learn from some really cool mentors. So we have Blake, Anthony, Ida, and William, who the creators are going to get to work with in small groups all week and get to really learn from the pros and the best in the industry. So here's a little teaser of this year's winners. And without further ado, I'm excited for all of you to meet them. Thank you very much.